All right, guys. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. All right, our closing panel. I wanted to call it Cup of Joe, but then there were other people, so then I wanted to call it Cup of Chads, but then that got vetoed. So now we're calling it the closing panel. So if we could get everyone to come up. Joe, would you like to come up too? Next. Nicola, Christopher, and Gareth, who is moderating.
Okay, it's cooled down sufficiently, so I hope you guys are all comfortable. Hello, my name is Gareth Jenkinson. I'm the managing editor of Cointelegraph. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon and finish things off. And Susie was just mentioning we didn't have a name for the panel. I'm from South Africa, so I wanted to call it Linea is Lekker, and Lekker in Afrikaans means like cool, good. So that's what I'm going with. So yeah, I've got Joe, Nicola, and Christopher alongside me to chat about Linea and Ethereum in general. And I thought I'd just pull up some stats here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because there was some different data points that I was looking at. So Linea right now has 3.7 million active users according to the website. 660,000 ETH has been deposited into the bridge. I can be corrected on that one as well. Total transactions surpassed 1 million. $382 million saved on gas. So, like, needless to say that it's doing good things in the ecosystem. Obviously, we've got Joe here, Ethereum co-founder. We had a very interesting chat a couple of weeks ago on a podcast, and one of the main questions I asked you about was the state of the Ethereum ecosystem, this move to a very L2-centric environment, and what your thoughts are, because there's a lot of L2s around, and I did ask you at the time, do we need this many? Is it necessary? And maybe we can revisit that conversation to start things off.
Yeah, I think I went into a really long description of what the world's going to evolve into over quite a while. But we only have, do we have 28 minutes?
28 minutes.
Okay. So can I use the whole time? So keeping it shorter, essentially at the start of the Ethereum project, it was clear to us that the holy grail was usability, scalability, and affordability, and we needed to get to a world in which it seemed like there is enough capacity, as much capacity as the internet, essentially. So you can think of that as infinite block space, infinite capacity, and the problem with blockchains is that when you add new compute capacity, it doesn't increase the transaction throughput. But the beauty is, if you add new entire compute structures like layer 2s and layer 3s, etc., then the more of these things you add, the more throughput you can add to the ecosystem. And so we're in a moment where we can add vertically more capacity and horizontally even more capacity. So as our ecosystem grows, we're certainly going to keep bumping into these ceilings, these capacity ceilings, but so did the internet, and so does every other technology that humans have made. In terms of affordability, what's going on in the layer 2 space and with layer 3s is really remarkable, getting down to pennies per transaction and sub-penny per transaction. That's the holy grail. I said a long time ago that transactions will be as cheap as air. And I think that's going to be the case as we move to higher and higher layers. We have app chains and personal chains and things like that. In terms of usability, we're doing, I was just discussing amongst a group of people over there that outstanding usability is here in a sense, but some of it's still baking in terms of account abstraction, in terms of delegation framework, in terms of intents-based architectures. We are very, very close, and we're seeing real signs in the wild that this broken user experience that we've all had to labor through since the start of the ecosystem, where we're doing amazing things, building the machine out in the open, very complex machine, and then asking everybody to reach into the machine and manipulate all the gadgets and levers manually in order to get something done. We're getting close to being beyond that. So that was both an amazing experience to understand what is possible, but also really painful from a UI UX perspective. And so with intense-based architectures, prover networks, solver networks, et cetera, all the stuff that essentially MetaMask and Linea are building together, we're basically there. And so what the future looks like to me is a world in which we're building network states that will interact with nation states. We're doing it on the digital real estate that is represented by the Linea project and other layer 2s. There will be, for consensus, there will be one home Linea network. And for MetaMask, there will be constructs that we put on that network as our home network. And so MetaMask needs, of course, to offer a universal interface to the whole ecosystem. But the really important pieces that we care about will be on our home network. And the Linea technology itself, as we saw in Nicola's presentation this morning, will be decentralizing. And so what that means is more layer 2 Linea technology networks, layer 3 Linea technology networks, et cetera. And so I look forward to a very big decentralized world that we can hopefully call consensus's home network state.
Just in terms of the amount of L2s that are out there, how does Linea fit into this, and what is the unique selling?
Yeah, so some people think there will be a small number of layer 2 core technologies. Some people think there will be tens and hundreds. I'm kind of in the middle there. I think we set out, based on the amazing work that Nicola and team did in our R&D group, which evolved into our Linea team, to build ZK technology because we were pretty confident that optimistic approaches were going to have edge cases and fraud proofs long time before final settlement was just not going to be the real direction of travel once validity proofs and ZK were available. So we believed we developed the right horse, and we're backing the right horse. And I don't imagine that these network states will be heavily built on optimistic technology. I do think optimistic technology will be useful for certain things, but as we get better and better at the technology, it'll be, I think, foolish to use something that is less efficient and less effective when validity proofs will be available. So validity proofs everywhere you can do it. Optimistic technologies and fraud proofs where you sort of need them, and then intersubjective for subjective situations.
It's nice to hear you say that, because I've been pondering that thought for a long time, optimistics versus ZKs. Nicola, I'm going to throw it over to you. Perhaps you can chat a little bit about the decentralization component. I mean, this has probably been a criticism, just working in the media space, of L2s, that there is an element of centralization, and at some point different L2s have to figure out how they're going to decentralize themselves. Maybe you can chat a little bit about the approach at Linea.
Yeah, and to react as well to what we were saying previously about the number of layer 2s, yes, it's because of this evolution of ideas and vision about what is happening. A few years ago, on ZK rollups looked impossible to do, so people went for this optimistic rollup approach. Then, actually ZK rollup is possible, but not ZK EVM, so people went for approaches with specific stacks, and ultimately said, actually the ZK EVM is possible. And then you have still multiple implementations, because it's actually important for decentralization not to have a single team owning a so important piece of technology, but you want multiple parallel implementations of, in a way, nearly the same thing, but then you can have still differences. And actually, one of the differences at this stage is how we're going to decentralize the sequencer. Some teams are saying, we prefer to keep it centralized because it's easier to manage, it's faster. we do believe that it's actually the opposite. We do believe that decentralization is absolutely important to the sequencer. If not, you have a single point of failure from a legal point of view, from an attack point of view globally. So it's a key component of a secure system. And we believe as well that it's possible to build it in a way that we're not sacrificing the performances. So the performances are very important. People are using Rollup because they want affordable transactions. They don't want to have peaks of prices and so on. It's not manageable. So that's very important that we can keep this, but we do believe that we can do this in a decentralized way as well.
Just a point, Obviously, I've been reporting on layer 2s in particular over the last 18 months. And I remember Starkware putting out a post being like, we're one of the first L2s to start decentralizing. Do you look at what other L2s are doing and try and figure out if there is a best in industry approach and should everyone be adopting it?
We're quite happy to look at what the others are doing. If they are doing good things, we will do the same. I mean, we're not ashamed of that. And we say it when it's the case. So I must say that for Starkware, I'm not aware of anything, to be transparent. But the part where there are clear things to share is around the ZKVM and the different provers. So that's a very important part of the decentralization, not linked to the sequencer directly, but linked to the prover. The fact that ZKVMs are working at the bytecode level means that when all the technology will be stable enough, all the people implementing ZKVM provers will be able to prove exactly the same thing. And it means that you will have this what we call the multi-prover, which is the change of the state of the rollup, the updates, will be proven by multiple independent prover teams, making each of us team not anymore on the critical path. It's a key point because if you say, yes, it's decentralized and so on, but there are 5 people who can actually change the code and the only one who understands anything, you're not decentralizing anything. So we really want to go in this direction, and it means that basically all our people implementing ZKVMs are our friends and will be working together at a point. We even want them to have the same performances as us from a performance point of view because we don't want anyone to lag behind. So there's really this logic of we're competing to be the fastest, the cheapest, and we are actually today, in terms of ZKVM, the one with the most TPS and the biggest TVL. But ultimately, from a technical point of view, we want them to catch up because we will be able to build better rollups thanks to this.
Yeah, so I think it's important to call out that communication and collaboration across our ecosystem is a superpower of our ecosystem. And yes, there are little spats on crypto Twitter. And sometimes it's unfortunate. Maybe an attribution isn't made. Maybe a technical theft is made of open source code or an obvious approach. It's a little bit silly. It's human nature. We're competitive. But at the end of the day, our ecosystem is really very warm and competitive. We show up at events like this and we, after yelling at each other on crypto Twitter, we hug each other and say, hi, it's great to see you. And so I think our ecosystem is going to evolve such that layer after layer of the technology commoditizes. You squeeze out the heavy expenses, and we're going to build more and more in an interoperable way. Multi-prover is one way to do that. Having an Arbitrum network on top of a base network as a layer 3 is some of the early stages of that. Ultimately, it's going to come down to who the people are, who the projects are, what the philosophies are, and what the community ethos is. And those things are what's going to remain. And the technologies, it's going to be very important. It's going to make money for different groups, but it is going to commoditize.
Chris, I'm going to bring you into the conversation shortly. Just one last bit on the tech stack here. I mean, Nicolas, for you, is there anything that really stands out about Linea and like for you a unique selling point that is hands down better than what everyone else is doing? And if that's the case?
On the technical side, there are 2 things that are very important. We have, in terms of proving a 100% alignment with the EVM, which is very complicated to do. So that's the first point. And the second point is actually not directly in Linea. It's inside the Besu team. Besu is the client, and we're today the ZKVM, and actually I think even the EVM with the best performances in terms of capacity. And it's thanks to this Bezos stuff. So there will be a lot of things going there. We're going to improve the performances by one order of magnitude in the near future. So we really have two parts, this capacity to execute and this capacity to prove.
Yeah. So what I said, but we're also enormously proud of how leading and excellent our own team is and our own technology.
Okay, maybe we can get onto like the use case part. So if you go and look at the Linea website, one of the use cases which I found quite humorous is that, amongst all the other things listed there was meme coins, and I'm just going to chuck it over to Chris here, someone who has to market the product and technology. That is there listed. Obviously, there's many different use cases for this kind of technology and for the dApps that are built on top of it. But yeah, we can touch on meme coins, but your job and what you do, is it easy to go out there and sell the product and technology?
Yeah, it's a good question. Just generally speaking, there's a lot of points about a layer 2 that have been brought up here by Joe and Nicola that often aren't spoken about commonly, because at the end of the day, communities of people really care about things like performance, right? So while we had more expensive gas, that was a really major friction point where the communities of people who would come to Linea at that time were people who were more willing to invest in a very, very early ecosystem, building things, finding their communities. And over time, that changes as the layer 2 improves. Now that things are more efficient, the conversation around decentralization of the sequencer is a lot more important in the ecosystem. So just in terms of like tapping into the Ethereum ecosystem and the communities of people, it is difficult because the supply and demand curve of block space has changed a lot. So like a few years ago, EVM block space was extremely in high demand, and that is what led to the spinoff of a lot of alt L1s like AVAX, Binance Smart Chain, because we had millions of users coming in, right? And Ethereum was too expensive, Ethereum was too slow, so people come out, they go to these other similar virtual machines that are similar to use, similar to develop on. And now what's happened is that we have really good EVM block space. Some of it's slightly better to develop on. As Nico was saying, Linea is 100% EVM compatible. So for devs who are familiar with Ethereum, that makes it a very strong value proposition. And it starts coming down to, I think, more human questions of what makes a network of people and communities a place where people will stay. That's what it starts coming down to. It's more of how do we pull people together? How do we retain them into communities? And how do those communities foment lasting relationships between the builders, between the liquidity providers, between people who are issuing, say, meme coins to kind of create short-term engagement mechanisms?
Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was just asked, as though it would be controversial, what I think of meme coins, and memes are incredibly important. They've been around for hundreds or thousands of years. Meme coins are an amazing new invention, similar to ICOs and NFTs and DeFi. They're still in a moment of significant expansion. In each one of those phenomena, there was a moment of innovation. There was irrational exuberance. There was some frivolity. There was some corruption. And when all that burned away, what we ended up with were essentially extremely important fundamental primitives for our tool built to build out our ecosystem. And there's some great meme coin projects out there. There have been for years, obviously, with Doge being, I believe, the first. I anticipate that the meme coin technology will evolve and have utility. I believe it's already in a state of merging with NFT technology. Meme coins can represent utility. They can represent community. I think of the best use of a meme coin is to merge it with an NFT, create real utility for a group of people, create cohesion in a community. And then you've got what I think of as a SPAC, a special purpose attention community, where instead of a financial SPAC, where you've got this this ball of money that's looking for a company to merge with it, you've got a community that you can bring to different technology projects.
I think back to when I first started writing in the space, it was like 2017 and ICO boom happened, and CryptoKitties happened. And it makes me wonder, like if Linea was around back then, you wouldn't have had any of the congestion or any of the issues that brought around. I mean, like, do you look back on that and think, geez, we've come a long way since then?
Yeah, I said exactly that in different ways. CryptoKitties was a special moment where we tried to cross the chasm into mainstream culture, and we sort of kind of did for 5 seconds, for as long as we could breathe, the rarefied air of mainstream culture. But with the NFT, with the DeFi phenomenon, we crossed the chasm a little bit. That was mostly financial nerds joining crypto nerds. With the NFT phenomenon, we absolutely got the attention of millions of artists and art collectors and et cetera. And so, but we still didn't have the scalability back then, but now we do. We have achieved the Holy Grail, the very early steps along the Holy Grail, and now we can bring other primitives which haven't really seen the light of day effectively yet. So it's decentralized identity, decentralized reputation, attestations in the form of VERAX and the EAS. You bring a bunch of those things together and you'll have social graphs. So social graphs owned by people, monetized by people, owned and monetized by communities. You can bring content and applications to your social graph. You can share any sort of monetization that you're doing with the people who are bringing value to your social graph. Mini alpha leak, we have brought some of those things to the Linea network through MetaMask, and we are bringing what I think will be the most profound construct that we can start building the next generation economy to Linea through MetaMask, and that will be social graphs that you all can own and that we can all build the next generation of business on.
Can you tell us more?
It's a project that shall go nameless, that is building on social graph technology using decentralized identity technology, which will be accessible through MetaMask and will be homed primarily on Linea.
That's all you're getting up there. I tried. Maybe we can just chat a little bit about attracting developers to build on Linea. Whoever is leading this charge, how difficult is that to get other people in the ecosystem to come and choose this stack to build on?
Yeah, it's hard at first, but then you start getting traction, you start getting users, you start getting the liquidity, and there's been a profound change of people who are coming to Linea really excited to develop on it. They understand all the benefits it has, but really a lot of that work has gone to our phenomenal growth and business development team. Points are not a hot topic anymore. Like, the meta is over for points, but Linea was the first L2 to actually launch a points campaign. And something really interesting happened. It didn't just drive a lot of user engagement, but it actually helped all the startups in the specific verticals that we focused on. So take DeFi Voyage, for instance, right? We had something like 20, 30 DeFi applications on Linea, and they really needed users. They really needed activity to generate basically stress tests, UX improvements, get their first communities built, and show that their product has fit when exposed to a large audience of users. And at that time, Linea was still very new. We had just come out of mainnet. And so the beautiful thing of being able to align community activity to the work that developers has been doing is that you're not just getting like TPS, you're not just getting monthly active users, but what you're really doing is connecting the communities of the users to the communities of the builders, and it strengthens the builders. And so as the builders see that this is an ecosystem where the team is invested and heavily committed to helping builders, it makes it very easy for other builders to come and take the plunge, because they can see, okay, like Linea is a place where there's a real commitment to helping us succeed. It's a place where dApps thrive.
Well, there's just under 300 dApps on Linea, according to the website.
More. I think it's over 400 now. Yeah, website's outdated.
Okay. Someone work on that. No, I'm joking. And Nicola, is there anything that stands out to you in terms of the dApps that have been built on Linea? Anything that like really is a standout sort of example of what the technology can do?
And so a big thing is really about DeFi. I mean, we know that it's the foundations. What you need at the beginning is oracles and a way to notify and so on. And then you can build DeFi, and then you can build fun use cases. So we're really at the DeFi stage at this point. So basically everything you want to do on DeFi, you can do it on Linea. And there's a TVL for that. So I think it's a very, very big accomplishment. And now we will have more and more users directly on this set of applications. And the next stage is for a user who is doing DeFi, how can he do more DeFi, or how can he do more type of applications, games, and so on. So that's where we're going to be.
And in terms of what everyone else is doing in the industry, maybe Joe, you can chat a little bit about this one. I mean, you've got the Polygons and the rest. They're all doing very interesting things. They're all scaling Ethereum. Are we arriving at a point where this L2-centric future is very much realized? And are you happy with where it is as someone who co-founded Ethereum 9-10 years ago?
Yeah, so people look at the ecosystem, and we're in the summer, so there's a bit of a summer lull going on. And people look at the price of transactions on Ethereum Layer 1, and they're worried. People look at the rapid growth, insufficient growth, in my opinion, of Layer 2 block space and Layer 3 block space, and they worry that there's going to be too much block space out there. This is a wonderful growing pain that we're experiencing. By the time we see real viral applications, and we are at this moment where we can see great talent come in and build viral applications, by the time those things start to happen one after another, we're going to feel a lot of pain in terms of the ceilings of scalability. And so couldn't be more delighted in seeing the solution space of scalability explored, built out. We believe that we've been fortunate enough to have some of the best talent in the world in terms of building the MetaMask wallet and continually expanding that technology in terms of defining the ZK EVM technology, building it out to be the leading technology, ZK EVM technology project and network on the planet, and look forward to essentially from Consensus's perspective to continuing to build out pieces that are fundamental to MetaMask's evolution that will be honed on Linea. Linea will be Consensus's home base for some cool projects that I look forward to talking to you about at some point. I know you
just promised me the scoop. That's what
I promised you the scoop. There's two of them that we can talk about. So the future is incredibly bright for Consensus on Linea, with MetaMask on Linea, and I wish all the other projects well. We are friends with them. We work well with them. MetaMask will always work well with all the technology in the space. It is its mission to be universal, and so I think things are going incredibly well. And ideally, a year from now, the phrase it happened very slowly and then all at once. I think next year will be in the all at once phase.
I was supposed to give about 5 minutes for like open Q&A, so I'm going to do that now. We've got a couple of minutes left, and yes, it's the end of the program. Does anyone have any questions for Joe and Nicola and Chris? There's a hand up at the back there. A man with an incredible beard as well. Yeah, it's you with the beard. I'm going to bring the microphone to you.
So it's a mic? Oh, yeah. Cool.
I don't know that.
So we talked about vertical scalability, but can you talk more about horizontal scalability?
Sure. So vertical scalability just means that we can stack layer 2s and layer 3s above that. Horizontal scalability means that we can have a whole bunch of layer 2s beside each other. There will be a certain capacity. You can have a whole lot of layer 3s horizontally on layer 2s. I hypothesize that there might be interchain capability or chain abstraction capability where applications can be sitting partly on Ethereum, partly on Bitcoin, partly on Solana, etc. But also there are projects out there like Gnosis Chain, like Luxent, that have the exact same Ethereum architecture. And so it's a big world. It's a big internet. We're going to need to grow orders of magnitude more capacity. I'm biased, obviously, but I like the Ethereum layer 1 architecture and can imagine a world where there are a bunch of those things, either regionally divided. I've spoken to people in European nation states that have been contemplating whether they need to build their own Ethereum because there might be geopolitical tensions. And so we could see horizontally some layer 1 Etheria potentially linked to one another via some sort of backbone communication or so. We'll see how things play out.
Is that a herd of Etheria, or do you like a a pack of wolves? Are there any other questions in the crowd? Is everyone happy? Going once, going twice. Done. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this chat. It's really great.
Guys, that's it for Live on Linea. Thank you so much for being here. Again, you could have been anywhere today, so we really appreciate you coming to our event. Be free.